All right, so for my final presentation, my topic for my final essay is going to be social media and its effects on teenagers and overall youth. The reason why I chose this category or this age group is just because teenagers and youth have had social media pretty much all through their life of growing up. Maybe they didn't have access to it, but it's the presence of social media has always been there compared to like older age groups where since social media is a newer thing where it hasn't always been there in their lives. So I felt that teenagers would have the most impact and see the most results from social media, whether good or bad. And so the first thing I'd like to discuss is the benefits of social media. Obviously, if you like social media or if you don't like social media, you can argue that it's had several benefits throughout the world. Specifically, for discussing things we learned in this class, there was the revolutions in Egypt and Tunisia, where they used Facebook to connect with one another. It was stated that a lot of these revolutions were done by the youth, the empowered youth who specifically had social media as a platform for them to be able to speak freely and openly to one another. There was the free, or we all are Khalid said, Facebook page, which took off and was able to get his story out and for people to understand the violence and some of the atrocities that these people were dealing with, not only in Egypt and Tunisia, but not only were people in Egypt and Tunisia being able to find out about it, but across the nation they're having a national presence. This can be then again seen in the Euromaidan situation. The first Euromaidan page, just looking back in the article, first Euromaidan page had over 120,000 likes. So to be able to have 120,000 likes is far superior to anything like word of mouth or just posters, whatever have you. Another example is the Iranian youth using social media for relationships. Currently, they're in a culture where that doesn't really allow for male and female young relationships. In teenage years, it's not allowed. So to be able to have a free space in social media to be able to talk with one another, share ideas, share photos, be freely, not necessarily even in like a revolutionary oppressed situation, but more of a culturally oppressed situation, to be able to be free, put yourself in situations that they don't always get to have is important. Another great benefit of social media is in like disaster situations. We discussed how Twitter and Facebook are allowing users to notify family members and friends that they're okay in natural disasters. For example, and this was an old stat in comparison to when the article was released, it was estimated 76% of Americans use social media to let their families know they're okay during disaster. And so that number can only go up as more people get online and start sharing. So that was all kind of the benefits. Obviously, we discussed many benefits in this class of technology and social media specifically. Another thing I would like to look at is maybe some of the negatives of social media. I'm personally not a huge social media user, just because I have a lot of things I need to do, and social media just isn't one of them. But I think reading some articles, there are some concerning things happening based off of teenage uses in social media, is that we're going to maybe see some unfortunate results that we didn't exactly intend for the people making social media or users. Currently, experts worry that social media and text messages are linked to lower self-esteem. It's also seen that social media is linked to lower body confidence, higher eating disorders, higher body image disorders. There was a survey that asked 14 to 24-year-olds in the UK how social media platforms impacted their health and well-being. Survey results found that Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram all led to increased feelings of depression. So we're seeing psychological disorders such as depression, anxiety, come from constantly being online. And throughout all of my research, pretty much found that as more social media usage went up, the more signs of depression, the more signs of social anxiety went up. Another thing was specifically talking about how we're losing abilities to communicate properly face to face. They discuss how reading social cues is going away. The fact that you don't have to see someone's face, so you're just looking at their words on a screen, and having time in between texts to think about, or messages to think about what you want to say, is kind of, it's getting rid of the ability to discuss face to face. And even they discuss about how a lot of teenagers say how talking on the phone is challenging, or it's too intense compared to texting, because they're not used to those verbal quick responses. And so, just in another article, the usage is up. So for instance, 51% of teens visit social network sites on a daily basis, while 11% send or receive tweets at least once every day. That can only go up. 50% of teenagers are using social media, and that can go only up as more people get online. It was seen that social media is connected to lower sleep levels, just due to teenagers who get onto their phone at night. It was said that 1/5 of teens said they almost always wake up during the middle of the night to log into social media. So people are running out of sleep. They're showing signs of depression. They're showing signs of anxiety, and these are all symptoms that we're just starting to see in our youth, because they are constantly on it in comparison to older generations. It's also seen that there are when teenagers receive like likes on their posts and stuff, they're part of their brain that gets activated like around gambling, like it was gaining money, like winning money, or in that instance gets highlighted in their brain. So we're almost seeing people become addicted to receiving likes online for posting good content. They're becoming addicted in comparison to just being able to use social media as a tool. So I guess that is my biggest question for the end of this, just wrap this up. Should social media be used as just a tool, like in our instances of how it can be used for good, or should it be used as for fun as well? Because in one of our good instances, we see the Iranian young youth using it as not a tool, but as a way to be able to communicate and have fun, and they're seeing benefits from it as well. And that's not to say that other nations are not seeing benefits in their youth. Like it said, it puts people in a maybe less communicative people to be able to connect better online, but also maybe with some drawbacks that we don't know about yet. So yeah, that's just my first overall rough idea of my final essay, and I'm glad you guys were able to listen.